Yes. All right. A warm welcome, everybody, to, I believe it's our third monthly hub meeting, if I'm correct. But if somebody else knows better, correct me and pick me up. It's 20th of April. It's really fantastic being here together. Somehow because we are, like in this time between the Catholic and Orthodox Easter and around the time of Pesach as well, and it's spring, there is something around this sense of renewal that hasn't been present this way to me even 10 days ago, like this feeling of renewal, of like also connecting to what we had discussions about the war in Ukraine, and this feeling of the old world going away and the new world manifesting itself, and the old world as it's going away, not going away easily, and like bring in all its battles that it can. And in times like these, the moments of us gathering in circles and conspiring on the new world coming into being is precious in a completely different way than maybe it would have been a year ago. So I just really want to appreciate the historic moment we're in, and the diverse proximity we all have to what's happening in the world right now, urgently and presently. And connecting to this sense of, of creativity needed for this renewal to happen, connecting to the sense of new civilization and the new way how we're living politics, how we're living education, how we're living business. And this is possible when we come together and we witness one another and we accompany each other on this path. So today, like with this spring, in the spring spirit, I would like to offer us an opportunity to connect to the free movements, the movement of being in flow like a river, but also the movement of being stuck and what to do when you're stuck. And also to the movement of a river rising. So to us looking together at this, how the impact that we're creating through this, that we come together, and through this being embedded in the work of European Commission, can actually have a completely different impact than we otherwise could have. We also have today a second of our lightning interviews, and it's Konstantina, you and your team presenting your project and where you are currently, and that's fantastic. So what we would like to do is first, for landing today, I actually want to take you to embodiment practice. We had in the global session a bit of social presencing theater, so I would like to strengthen it today. So we're going to have an embodiment practice at the beginning, then we're going to have a little check-in round, then we would have the interview with the Greek, Macedonian, Bulgarian, growing team. After that, I would like to introduce, because I heard you last time that it's, like one thing is getting to know these methods, but when you try them out yourselves, it's a completely different feeling of landing then in them and being able to implement them with others. So I would like to share with you another social presencing theater that's called Stuck, the Stuck Dance. And Sebastian and Tony, you're gonna do your best. And actually there is a way for you to engage in these embodiment practices even when you're commuting. And after that, I would like us to engage a little bit in developing of these impact elevating events that we have been talking in the invitation, and also had a little bit of conversations in between. And as we have also Casper, who just joined us, I'm saying hello to yet another team. Like it's spring, things are growing, our team is growing, we have new people joining. There's Casper and Sebastian, who are actually innovating the schooling system in Poland, supporting, bringing up new generations of people that are going to be differently in the world and are going to be in the world in a way that is completely, like obviously mindful and sustainable for them. Casper, as Sebastian is on a bus, do you just want to say maybe a sentence or two, just really briefly, about, just saying hi and checking in your project to the group? Wonderful to see you.
Thank you for the introduction. Hi to everyone from Warsaw and Katowice. So we're in two different places, and we will be working on a workshop around, we call it natural movement, and it will be a combination of school curriculum, so kind of scientific approach towards climate change and what's happening with our planet, with movement as a way to touch the wilderness of the natural world as well, and then exploring that relationship with the world. So that would be kind of part of the school that we want to develop, and a formal high school that we are creating in Katowice in Silesia region in Poland. So that's just two sentences about what we're trying to do. And hi.
If you're onboarding yourself, you can find our Miro space, and there is a little place where people can, projects can present themselves. You can add all the materials you have produced so far and just do a little description like that, we can inspire each other. And it's just really, exciting to see who is doing what. So today also warm greetings from Toby and Anya and Amelia, who are right now welcoming a team. They're all now in Portugal at their mountain that they're taking care of, and they're welcoming 12 people from Germany who are arriving, and they're having a meeting of 25 stakeholders for the next 3 days, working on water management in their region, on their prototype Residenz Zukunft, and also on a network of villages across Europe committed to supporting the global sustainability development goals. So they're doing that, and they just started an hour ago. So we had an early check-in with them. They're here with us in spirit. Okay, so before we go any further, our little landing in space. Landing belongs to social presencing theater. Social presencing theater is an embodiment practice that allows us to connect to our sense of body, to the wisdom of our body, the wisdom of the land, and the wisdom of the earth, and the wisdom of the social field. And what we're gonna do now is called a 20-minute dance. In our case, it's gonna last 5 minutes, and it really has nothing to do with dancing, the dancing that we know in conventional sense. How the 20-minute dance works, and Tony and Sebastian, I'm gonna have a special introduction for you at the end of this introduction is, basically, we're beginning by, if you have the possibility, lying down on your floor. And what we're searching for is something that in SPT is called the true move. So we're searching for where the body wants to move, not where our head wants our body to move, where my head wants to lift my hand, but what is it in my body that seeks movement? And we follow that. If you can lie down, you lie down. If you can sit, you sit on your chair or on your sofa, wherever you are, that's just perfect. These movements, they don't have to be large. They don't have to be large gestures. They can be very small. They can be also invisible to somebody from the outside. And this is something that I'm going to invite you, Tony and Sebastian, to follow these micro movements in your body that want to happen and allow them to take shape. So what we're doing is we're lying down on the floor, and we're going to be alternating between movement and stillness. And we're going to hold both. So when there's a new movement that wants to emerge, I engage in the movement. And then when it comes to a completion, I hold it until something new emerges. And we alternate between movement and stillness for 5 minutes. The idea of that is to connect the mind, the heart, and the body, just to begin with. So if you could position yourself there where you can, and you begin in lying down, and by the end of the 5 minutes, you can aim to be sitting up. And now with the next movement, come to a shape that is going to be your final shape. And hold the stillness of this shape. And as you hold this shape, really sense into the full 3D feeling in your body, especially focusing on the back of your body. And now let go and come back to the screen. One of the ways how we describe what a true move is that there's an impulse in your body and you only know the beginning. And with the beginning, you move into an unknown and you don't know where the shape is going to take you. You allow it to unfold as it's happening. We're going to go deeper into this practice later, but now I would like to give you 5 minutes to check in. And check in with the question, how are you doing today yourself? And how are you doing in your project and in this hub we're in? So you have 5 minutes, groups of 2 and group of 3. Make sure that everybody has the opportunity to speak. Enjoy. There we go. One of the, largest benefits of coming together like that is knowing whom to get inspired by, and what are the things that others are doing, and get the encouragement to expand your field and really reach out and be bold in your action. We just had a meeting of hub hosts earlier today, and that was exactly this, how can we put ourselves into a position where we can be bolder with our action. So whatever you have on the left side of our Miro, there is a space you can populate however you want to, whatever things you're doing, whatever actions you're doing with your projects, do feel strongly encouraged to share it there with others, so they can read about that as well. Hello, Patrick. You also came in. Yeah. Hi there. Okay. Konstantina, are you up for it?
Hopefully, I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. So what we did this time as well, just as with the Irish team, 2 weeks ago, I believe, or a month ago, I don't know when. Last time we met.
It was the coaching circle, actually, so it's not so long. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so long ago.
Yes,
Huh?
coaching,
Okay,
yes.
good.
It
Yeah,
was
2
in a
weeks
meeting.
ago. Yeah. Konstantina and I exchanged a couple of questions. So Konstantina, if you could just begin by introducing yourself and the project, and whoever is going to be, if there's anybody else joining you also talking about this project. And then I'm not going to intervene and I'm not going to ask any questions. You just go ahead and share the story, and let's frame it at around 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, wonderful.
I will try. Okay. And hi to all of you. My name is Christa Konstantina, and I come from Greece. And right now I'm a researcher in the Sustainability Department of Global Digital Communication Network Global, that it is hub about how to use digital technology and social media in promoting innovative ideas. Actually, my field and my research expertise is on a co-transition, and mainly on in just transition in coal regions. And right now we have a networking of collaboration with the experts from other countries coming from Western Balkans. And I'm pleased to present you Sofia and Michaela. Both are are from Stara Zagora and the region in Bulgaria that maybe their department and their agency is at the core. It's one of the most, let's say, it's the greatest, it's the biggest core region. Sophia, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay,
You're right.
Okay, the biggest core region in Bulgaria, and they're working on issues of core transitions. And other networking consists of representatives from the North Macedonia. Dejan is here. Okay, and here he is. And they come. Dejan also works in academia. It's an academia that it's at the core of energy transition in North Macedonia. And from Romania is Alexander, who is not joining us today. And also he is an expertise in co-regions in Romania. Our initiative, we have named it Just Transition in Core Regions, and let me explain about a little bit about this initiative by beginning and sharing some knowledge and some information with you about Just Transition in Core Regions. We actually, one of the targets the European has got till by 2050 is climate neutrality. This means that we have to reduce the gas emissions and in order to limit the degree of global warming by 1.5 degrees Celsius. Coal is considered to be one of the most polluted fossil fuels in the European Union and in the world generally speaking. So the governments and the European Union guidelines are that we have to develop strategic policies in order to go phasing out. A big challenge in this phasing out is the stakeholders' involvement. What actually means is that we have to get, social society has to get involved in those transitions, especially those who are affected directly and indirectly by this phasing out. Please keep in mind that due to this transition, a lot of workers will lose their jobs, and we have to switch some economic models, and this raises the objections from the citizens. So one big challenge in this transition is what is called the stakeholders engagement and involvement. So because the core element in Just Transition is to be fair and inclusive. What this means that no one should left behind. So we have to get involved all the possible groups that are affected. We want their opinion, we want their suggestions on how to develop a strategy and how to move forward to a green transition. And this comes the idea, and it was the motivation for the majority of us to join the Theory u.lab, because we actually wanted a new approach in how to approach the most vulnerable social groups, those who are excluded and those who are they don't have the chance to participate in this whole process. Mainly, we're talking about young people, women, elderly, and vulnerable and handicapped citizens that live in cold regions. And actually, what we have done in our initiative until now, we have met several times, and we have exchanged some ideas, all the participants. And the main, let's say, what we have done until now is that we are making mapping stakeholders, because the idea is that we want to register it. We want to see mapping. So we're just making mapping stakeholders per country and per region. So we want to concentrate on one vulnerable group. For example, if we all agree that young are the most one of the vulnerable groups, then our intention is to use Theory Lab in this vulnerable group to see how to approach them and to see the conclusions that we can reach. And we want to make some conclusions about how to reach them, how we can persuade them to participate in the whole process of co-transition, and so we hope to succeed. Because I'm very honored and very thankful that the other members of our initiative is in the panel. So if they want, they can. The floor is yours to Sofia, Michaela, and Dejan, if you want to add something.
I think Carolina was quite comprehensive in her description, and I'm very, very honored that we were invited with Michaela to participate in this initiative, and I'm sure that there will be a added value of it, and our efforts to communicate the topic will be facilitated through this initiative. For our region, we're sure that probably the most important thing currently is to communicate the topic, to facilitate the topic in a pretty natural way, and to share reliable information, because the spread of fake news on the topic regarding European policies, Green Deal, and just transition are quite often to see in our region, and that's why our mission is to spread the word about the real situation, the status quo, and the things that we're going to benefit from the energy shift that is envisaged to happen in our region, because currently it is demonized, and many people feel as a threat the changes that are going to be, because they're expecting to lose their jobs, and this is pretty natural reaction. So our mission is to explain that there is a way forward. There are many opportunities that could be taken into account. So more or less, this is our mission, and I'm very thankful to Carolina, that to Constantina, that she invited us to fight for these values. Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, I can say that in the name of the research center, we're also looking forward to what this project will bring in the future. The fact that we are gonna tackle the problem more holistically, both technically and include the social aspects and the approach itself. I personally believe that it's gonna yield positive outcomes and positive results. We already had a meeting with Constantine and the rest of the team where we discussed in more detail about certain aspects. I think that we are looking forward to. I think that ahead of us lies a good project, and that good outcomes will come out of it. So we are looking forward to giving our contribution to the process.
And if I can add something, Carolina, I would like to add that stakeholder engagement in co-transition is a huge challenge and a huge problem. There are two aspects of the same coin. Really, at this time, we are facing a challenge, and but it's also a threat. Taking into consideration, as Sofia very well said, that misinformation and disinformation about energy And European policies are at a huge level. This raises many obstacles in how to get the stakeholders involved, and mainly how to minimize their objections to these transitions. I would like, Carolina, really to thank you for giving us this opportunity of creating, let's say, of a networking of different countries that really help us by sharing knowledge and practices, how we can support each other, and how we can face the same challenges. Almost all of us face the same challenge, and the same challenge need the same, more or less same approaches, need new ideas. And really, we are very glad that we participate in this prototype, and we hope with our knowledge to contribute something, not only to our countries, but finally we'll be able to contribute something in to the European Commission also, in order to achieve what it is really very, very crucial, the energy transition, and actually the green transition. Thank you very much. If you want if you want to ask us something, please feel free to do that.
Thank you so much, Konstantina. We would have a little bit of space for some questions, if there are any questions from other teams. I'm wondering myself, because you mentioned the youth quite a number of times, Konstantina, and your team members as well. I'm wondering, what are the ideas that you're so far entertaining of engaging youth in creating a just transition from coal to green energy?
This is under discussion, actually, and we wanted to see how theory u.lab, the theory that we are now are involved in, can help us and can contribute to the approaching of the vulnerable group. Actually, the interviews and the way that the interviews should be conducted is something new, in my opinion, because as you said, I think it was in a session sometime that interviews should be open. This means that the approach is that we don't want to teach them something. We don't want them to guide them, because the problem is that most of the times the approach is top down. They go at the government, they go the authorities and just say, you have to do that, you have to do that, that is that. And the public and consultations that they are now in progress it's almost not so open, because they are guided. So what we really want to is to be open and to listen to them. So it's something that we have actually concluded on that we want to listen. And we want their ideas, we want their concerns, their worries, we want their problems, and how we can contribute to solving and some of their problems, and how we can reach them. And this is, let's say, as I said before, this is a big challenge. And what actually helped me with this initiative is how to approach them. That's something that you always almost say: be open. We don't have to be close our mind, close our approaches, and close the guidelines. Open. So this is we will almost try to implement in this approach, to be open.
That's wonderful. It's the open mind, open heart, open will, where everything can flow and the new can actually inspire us. I'm wondering, Konstantina, you and I had a brief exchange on social media recently. I wonder if what we were exchanging about also belongs in this space, and if maybe it would be worthwhile to share here, or if this is a separate thing.
It's something separate, I think. Okay, and maybe we can present it in another session
Yeah.
about how this works.
Wonderful.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. And it's, you know, like it's so important to hear about the work of each other and then also to understand together which of our teams can we support in what ways, like what are the stakeholders that we actually know. It's great, Sebastian and Casper, to have you in this session today with us, you know, like where youth and just transition and energy show up as a subject, and going like, oh, you know, like we have people in our circles who can actually, you know, like be good interview partners to get you to further interview partners. So this is really fantastic. Okay, thank you so much for presenting that. We're also open to see who would like to present their project next time, so you can ping me if you're in this call or watching this video. Okay, so what I would like us to engage in now is another SPT practice that is called the stack exercise. And stack exercise is, you know, in the work we do, it's so complex, and we so often are understanding the purpose of what we're doing as we go, and we so often don't know the exact path that will get us there. And challenges are so many. We had like a beautiful example of these challenges in last coaching sessions. But there are these moments when you're there by yourself and you're stuck and you don't know what to do, and you're kind of landing in the same pattern, and you're like, I keep on creating the same situation. I don't know how to get into it differently. What can I do? So stack is a way where we can engage with something that is either, you know, like an area in our work. It is around a leadership challenge where we have tried a number of things and they kind of didn't work. So we're like, I need something new to happen. And it happens, we're gonna do it now in 2 steps. The first step, as so often it's also the base for very many of the social presencing theory methods. You have, those of you who have watched the global session, you have watched the 4D mapping. This one is also built based on Sculpture 1, that is the current reality, and this is where the stack, the leadership challenge, is happening, and Sculpture 2 is the emerging future that wants to happen. So we're gonna do Sculpture 1 with all of us on one screen, and then I'm gonna send you into breakouts where you're gonna be able to allow Sculpture 1 to transform into Sculpture 2, and I'm gonna guide us through the process. So in the first step, I'm just gonna send it here into the chat so that you always can follow the instructions and you can take them with you in the chat, also into small breakouts. Reflect on a place where you feel stuck. So like, what is your current leadership challenge in your project, in your team, in your prototype? It doesn't matter what size it is, if it's small or if it's large, just identify a challenge. And what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna allow the wisdom of our body to support us in transforming this stack, and we're gonna allow the social field of us coming here together to impact it as well. And the Sculpture 1 means that you identify your leadership challenge and allow me to identify a leadership challenge I have by myself, and you don't speak about it. We don't need to talk about it. It's completely unnecessary. Okay, so I have a leadership challenge that I currently have, and I really sense into it in my body, and I feel where it is in my body and how it wants to be shown. Let me just, there we go. So I have my leadership challenge, I get up, and how it feels is, this is how it feels. So I don't act, I don't show it like, you know, I'm presenting something, but I feel where it is in my body and how it feels where it is. So that's what I do. So if those of you who can get up could get up from your chairs and identify a leadership challenge that you have currently and feel it in your body and show with a shape or a gesture. Just embody the feeling of being stuck. If we could all do it together right now. Casper, if you could, Dayan, if you could switch on your cameras, Tony and Sebastian, you just do it with micro gestures on your end so that it's safe. What is your leadership challenge? And if you were to embody it? Beautiful. Thank you. You can release it and you can get back to your chair. And now I'm gonna send you into breakouts. And in breakouts, you're gonna do one by one exactly this. So you're gonna do sculpture 1 and you're gonna show your sculpture, first the one person, then the second, then the third. And then you're gonna, afterwards, you're gonna have the opportunity to briefly reflect on what you have felt and what you have seen. And after that, I will invite you all to go to sculpture 1 and then to allow it to transform through a true move that's coming to show the emerging future. And how you do it is you hold the stillness for a while in sculpture 1, and then you allow a movement to emerge without knowing where it's going. And you follow that movement until it comes to a stop. And you do this also one by one. And then after that, you also have a chance to briefly reflect. Yeah? So sorry, I think I have not been clear, like on one thing. So you get into the small groups, sculpture 1, you all show together and you look at each other's sculptures and then you reflect briefly, how did it feel, what did I see? And then sculpture 2, the movement from sculpture 1 to sculpture 2, you do one by one. Yeah, so you can see each other and also witness one another. Witnessing in social presencing theater is really important because there is a huge difference to me doing it by myself and to me doing it being held by you and being witnessed by you. So it's this quality of how we show up to one another in our processes as well that matters a lot. All right, I'm sending you to breakouts and you're gonna have 15 minutes for that, okay? You take your instructions with you in case you ever get lost. Have a good one.
We had just finished, so here we
That's
are.
wonderful. Great to hear. I would like to just catch one or two voices maybe of this. What was, and welcome back to everybody who was just coming back as I was saying that. What was the difference between the stack shape and the sculpture 2? What was it for you? Francis.
Yeah, the sculpture 2, we had very little time because we spent too long talking about the first one. Anyway, it was much more relaxed. It was like a letting go of the it just happened. It's just letting go and flopping from the stuck shape and re-emerging. I didn't get any further than that, but there was definitely, it was much more relaxed.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. One more voice. What was the difference between the stuck shape and the sculpture 2?
Yeah, I can say that my sculpture totally fell down. Yeah, I just fell back on my back and laid like a cat.
Yeah. There is the rule that says no stack is sustainable. We can only hold a stack for so long. After that, it's gonna have to change itself. No stack is sustainable. The second rule, and that's also expanding it to including more of an ecosystem in SPT, says you're never stuck alone. You're always stuck with your system. So we can, you know, like we can deepen this practice next time, maybe. I'm happy to hear that, you know, like, yeah, I could have easily given you more time. That's always a good one. Okay, so, you know, as we get to experience and create these connections to our ecosystems and to the larger ecosystem globally and to the change that is happening, and also to this citizen-led climate action in European Union, there's also this aspect that we created as part of the seed of this u.lab 2x from the very beginning, which is we said, you know, we would like to do two things. One thing is we know these people who joined this program, that is a very selected group. There's something around 1,000 ambassadors. In this program, we are around 30. So we know that there are people whom we still want to reach with what's happening here. In the u.lab 2x, and there are 300 teams currently, right? So these are like the two ecosystems that we have at our fingertips that we can reach. And we said from the very beginning, we will want to both share what's happening here with others, to find out who's doing something similar and can be an inspiration and also a springboard. And also we really want to use this, that we are hosted by the European Commission, which gives us a certain kind of privilege. And we're also working at a course with the Presencing Institute at the MIT. So this position is really beneficiary. And the question is, how can we use it to the benefit of the prototypes that you guys are working on? And that means like, whom do we have access to and who actually should get in touch with you and get in conversation with you and support you, maybe mentor you, maybe give you access to people or to resources or to knowledge so that your prototypes can actually come to a fruition. And to facilitate that, we created this idea of impact elevating events. And we said, let's try to do 2 impact elevating events. And going in their direction, what I would like to do right now is I would like to do just a brief journaling to get you warmed up in thinking about them, and then send you into first breakouts. And then in 2 weeks, I would like to meet with those who would like to think together with me on the impact elevating events, because honestly, they're very open. That means we can do whatever we want and we can have them whatever we want them to be, right? So it's like we have a lot of freedom to design them ourselves. These can be events where we will, you know, like highlight one prototype and it will get all the limelight and everybody else from the hub is supporting that. Or we can say we want to present a really wide diversity of prototypes and invite a very big ecosystem to that. So however way we do it, since we're doing it online, you know, like we can invite 20 people or we can invite 1,000 people, right? Like I was talking to the Climate Pact Secretariat and they said, you have to be really careful. If we send out the invite blast, there's going to be a couple of 100 people that are going to join. We have been from the beginning having conversations about you engaging, this also being an opportunity for you to engage your stakeholders into coming into this space here. So I want to begin thinking together in the direction of these events. They also don't have a date. They need to happen sometime before mid-July, but you know, like there is a lot of space for us to do that. So if you could just open a notepad on your computer or take a piece of paper, or if you're driving, then you just do the thinking for yourself. And I just have 4 questions. So it's a very brief journaling, and then I'm going to send you into breakouts. So the first question is, what type of support does your project need now to become its most impactful? What type of support does your project need now to become its most impactful? where do you see sources that you could tap into? Where do you see sources that you could tap into? As a group, as a hub, what is our best contribution that, if shared, could support others in the climate movement? As a group, as a hub, what is our best contribution that, if shared, could support others in the climate movement? With these events, who could we connect to that would benefit our work and their work? With these events, who could we connect to that could benefit our work and their work? And I'm gonna send you now into breakouts, and you're gonna get 10 minutes. And I'm sending you also some, I'm adding you some guiding questions that you can, in the chat, that you can take with you.
Siemka.
Okay. Welcome back. Okay, welcome back everybody. Sebastian had to excuse himself and leave a bit earlier. We had 4 teams altogether. It would be really wonderful to briefly hear from each of the teams where in this, like first attempt to get a feeling of it at all, like what is it that is showing itself?
Well, I can briefly feedback because because Sebastian had to leave immediately and Dehan couldn't participate. So I was on my own. So all I did was continue journaling. I sent a note to say, could you put me in another group? But anyway, that didn't work. I just continued the journaling questions. I didn't do anything else. I had nobody to talk to.
Where
So that's my
did the
feedback.
journaling land you?
I sort of developed the answers a little bit more, and ideas were coming to me about plans and concrete things to be doing, but like that there's time, and maybe one particular plan maybe for September for the new school year, and a kind of menu for schools and engaging with schools. And there was something about needing to engage with positive stakeholders, ones that would be positive and constructive with the project, that would help move us on, like the climate scientists and the journalists. There are some journalists we've identified who write a lot about climate change and are open to what we're doing, we think. So I think that for me was take the positive steps and then prepare stuff for the autumn. Yeah.
Needing to engage with positive stakeholders is a really interesting take. Yeah. All right. How about Konstantina and Kaspar?
Actually, we have been talking a lot about generally about our prototypes, and we haven't reached some concrete conclusions and concrete answers to the questions. And maybe what should really emphasize on our impact elevated groups is now prototypize and how theory u.lab has affected us, and really is the contribution to the theory u.lab as a new approach to what we really have experienced till now. And this is what we are called openness and listening to others, and listening not only to others, but listen actually to ourselves. And how we can combine all these things in order to have got great solution to certain problems. And I think that as far as concerned my prototype, I really would like to discuss on this about in our meeting with my core members of the initiative, and I'm sure that we'll have got some suggestions, but in the forthcoming session we'll be more able to give concrete, let's say, suggestions.
Wonderful. Anne and Mihaela, how about you?
Well, regarding the conversation that we had with Anne, it was really interesting. We could actually develop on a couple of the questions. We discussed how different our projects seem and the scale and the purpose, but then how connected they are actually. Because in every situation, in every problem, it starts with the individual and how individual behavior affects the group and then society and then the whole situation. That was very interesting thing that I will personally take for myself from the session, and very, very open-minded outcome was out of our conversations that we had. I'm personally happy and personally looking forward to our team's sessions that are to follow with Constantina, Sofia, Dejan, and the rest of the team, because we have a very challenging project ahead of us, but very important. And if we manage, then it will be really rewarding to our selves, and then for the regions, and for the know-how that we can develop here. It will be really, really precious, and it can be split.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mihaela. Tony and Sophia, where has the conversation landed you?
Yeah, actually, after slight technical problems that we had at the beginning, we lost probably 1/3 of the time we had, but still we identified that me and Tony have quite much in common, because he's also living in a mining region in Ireland, which currently is linked with zinc extraction. So we found out that this is a problem for whole Europe, that this transition is going to be a significant topic in the following years. And our strive to live cleaner has a quite big cost for that, because many people are going to lose their jobs, but there are pathways that allow to smooth these negative effects. And this is what is our aim, actually, to find ways to improve the negative social perception of the idea of a just transition, and to explain that the only reason that we have these measures imposed is that we want to live cleaner, healthier, longer, and it's not to break down the region and to destroy the economy and to stop the energy independence, which are all the mottos here in the regions, but to live better, actually. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much. That's really great. I would like to leave this channel open of us thinking about these events. Last coaching circles we had, you said that you would like more coaching circles to happen. I would offer a coaching circle next Wednesday, almost the usual time, just a little bit later. I'm going to send out an invite, and then if at least 6 people click yes to the invite, I'm going to know there's, like that this time is good enough. And then in 2 weeks, when we haven't had any event planned, I would like to hold a session for thinking further about the impact elevating event, right? So like next week, we would talk about it a little bit. And then in 2 weeks, we would talk about it a little bit more. And then also I would like to see, like who of you wants to really get for a while together with me into planning of that, holding and hosting of that, and presenting your prototypes. We have 2 events planned, but there is also, like one thing that's happening, and that is the Presencing Institute's Global Forum. That is happening on the 22nd, 24th, I believe, of June. Now I forgot when it's happening. Hold on, that's great. Yeah, I forgot when it's happening. Yeah, June 22nd, 23rd. And I was today at the meeting of Hub hosts, and what I found out, because you need to be at these things to find out these things, is that there's gonna be a format that's called Hubs Hosting Dialogues. To which I said, our hub is hosting a dialogue on climate. Thank ours. So, so I did that. There's going to be a formal invitation going out, but I just want to tell you that there is this global forum where everybody from the Presencing Institute, from all programs, are coming together. And that's a question for you. Have a look at the link. If this is interesting for you, what is it that we could do, like to share, host, invite, and spread the knowledge. So that's one thing. Yeah. Another thing is the Global Forum has something that's called Audio Gardens, where you can share stories or soundscapes or practices. So this is something that you also yourself with your team or individually can record and just upload to it. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful format. I can really recommend it. Okay, we started 5 minutes late. We're finishing 5 minutes late. Wonderful to be here with everybody. Thank you for those who hung in here with their kids on their lap. And let's see if we meet each other next week, and then see all those of you who wanna join the planning of the Impact Elevating event. See you in 2 weeks, and we're staying in touch via email.
Okay, bye.
Have a good evening. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Bye bye. Good evening.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh.